I'm a free-range chicken. I like to walk. That's what Debbie called me this morning. I said, I like to walk around. She said, oh, you're like my free-range chickens. So that's what I am. So thank you. You've said many of the things that I was going to say about what I do and the type of social enterprises that I run. But I work in hospitality. I work with young people who are coming straight from prison, straight from detox, straight from homelessness organisations, a whole heap of circumstances. And my partner, Kate, and I determined a number of years ago that in a country that's as prosperous as Australia, there was just no reason at all why we should be leaving all of these young people behind. So we set to work building our social enterprise, and we've been doing that for the last 8 years. But something dramatic changed for us 5 years ago. I got the world's worst joke ever. It was Christmas 5 years ago, and Kate and I were hosting my side of the family for family Christmas. And you know, if you celebrate Christmas, you know how you often have bonbons. Often you'll go down to, well, what we did was we went down to our local Woolworths. So we have a Woolworths just near our house, and we just bought the standard bonbons that were, on the shelves. And we set up the table at Christmas and we put bonbons on everyone's place. And then we all pulled our bonbons and we put our hats on. And you know how they're always full of really lame stuff inside? It's like some plastic shitty little thing. There's that plastic or that paper hat, and they've always got a really lame joke inside them. So we went round the table with all of our jokes, everyone opening up our jokes. And mine was awful. It said, where do snowmen go to party? Any guesses? A snowball. I hate this joke. I absolutely hate it. Not because it's really lame, but because when I looked at the joke, I looked at it kind of carefully, and what I saw on the corner of the joke was a tiny, tiny child's thumbprint. My son at the time was 5. So I got his thumb, and I held up his thumb against the little thumbprint that was on the joke. And his thumb was way bigger than the thumbprint that was on there. So a 3 or 4-year-old had made my bonbon. And I just remember sitting there and starting to weep and thinking, how can I have just gone to my local Woolies and bought something that a tiny little child had made? How is that even possible? How have they not done the due diligence and kind of worked out, well, where's the stuff coming from? And then it started me thinking, what else in my life is covered in those tiny little fingerprints? The only difference is that this was the first time I saw the fingerprint. Those fingerprints are everywhere on everything that we own, those tiny little fingerprints. Most of the time we don't see them, and that's the only difference. What I determined to do at Street was not to just think then about how much youth homelessness can we stop as an organisation. So how do we not just think of ourselves as doing this one type of impact? How can we think of this organisation that we've built already, that has staff and has baristas and bakers and chefs and facilities and all of these things? How can we turn this organisation into an engine for good, not just an engine for good for homeless young people? And so that tiny little thumbprint, I vowed on that day that I would never ever try and close my eyes to all the thumbprints that were in my life that were invisible. So the quest that I've been on now for a number of years, first of all, try and find out where those thumbprints are. And the reality is that those thumbprints are in your bags, they're on your shoes, they're in your pockets in your mobile phone, Those thumbprints are everywhere. They speak really quietly. They whisper most of the time. They're almost invisible because you don't see the thumbprint like I saw on that joke that day. But it's not that they're not there. So I started to work out, well, how do I find out where the thumbprints are? So where do I get the information to find out which thumbprints are on the stuff that I own? And that started me on a quest to start to look at the ethics of businesses and the supply chains and the things that are in our homes. Now, if you haven't already done your slavery footprint, promise me, if nothing else that you do today or over the weekend is go to an organisation called slaveryfootprint.org. Has anyone done their slavery footprint before? Not a single one of you. Slaveryfootprint.org. And what it will do is it will talk you through, it'll ask you a heap of questions. And what it will do is it will ask you, what kind of house do you live in? How many people are in your house with you? How many rooms does your house have? How did you get to work or school today? So what's your transport? Are you a big tech user? Or do you love gadgets? What kind of jewelry do you wear? What's in your cupboards? What's in your, open up your bathroom cupboards and tell us what's in there. Open up your kitchen cupboards and tell us what's in there. Once you've answered those questions, it'll take you about 20 minutes. Once you've answered those questions, it will spit out the number of people that are enslaved around the world just for you. Not for your family, just for you. I have more than 30 slaves working for me. And I, for the first time, saw the visible thumbprint of one of those tiny, tiny little slaves. What I found out is that as soon as you open your cupboards, particularly your bathroom cupboards, there are so many slaves in your bathroom cupboards. As soon as you open your kitchen cupboards, I can't begin to tell you the number of slaves that are in your kitchen cupboards. As soon as you open your wallets and your gadgets, there are so many tiny, quiet little voices in your handbags and in your bags, in your pockets. There are so many of those tiny little thumbprints on the clothes that we're wearing today. That's the reality of being a human in the 21st century if you're living in a Western country and many other countries as well. But that's what our life is like. Every day we are powered by a whole heap of invisible people who are touching our lives. So as a social entrepreneur, what I determined I'm going to do, I'm going to try and make it more positive now, so let's go back up. As a social entrepreneur, what I determined to do is, well, first of all, I've got to find out where are the slaves in my own life, and then where are the slaves in my organisation's life, and how do we not just go from helping young people, but being a powerful organisation that does good. So where we started, first of all, was doing our slavery footprint and then starting to look up and down our supply chains. Now, when you're running a business, it seems to me like the very, very first rule of business that you have to agree to is do no harm. So you've got to find out where's the harm happening. And once you set like a baseline level of saying, I will not do harm in my business or my private life, then liberate yourself and say, not only will I kind of minimize harm, I'm going to maximize good. What happens all of a sudden if you start to think about every good or service that you have or your organization creates becomes part of doing good? That's extraordinary what becomes possible. And that's where I think social enterprise gets really exciting. Because I know right now that a cup of coffee that you buy at street this morning will have 24 ways that we can create good through that cup of coffee. It's not just the homeless young people that have made that and got the barista training this morning in the cafe. It's also where we got the coffee from. It's how it's been transported to us. It's what kind of cup it's been served in. It's the food miles that it's come from overseas. So it's all of those things are part of that simple action. Now, I had a coffee this morning. I saw Manal have her coffee and I was so excited to see her get out her keep cup. And that simple act of taking her keep cup around with her. But that's such a simple, tiny little action. That's just one of those 24 things at the moment that we could do to create good. But what I'm interested in is how do we build businesses that every single drop of coffee or every single good or service that they have are just brimming with goodness. So now I'm going to lay out a challenge for those of you. Who of you are students here? Fantastic. You've got a superwoman shirt on, so you're going to be like the head of this new revolution. So when I arrived here last night, I stayed at the MGSM Executive Hotel. I don't know if any of you have ever stayed there, but not far from here. And last night you would have found me out going through the bins in the hotel, climbing around to see what was on the roof. I wasn't actually on the roof, but I was looking, had my phone going through the bins to see what I could find, and I'm going to share some things with you. Okay, so I started with my room. So I found, what did I add up last night? I found 38 things in my room, so just not stepping outside my room, 38 things in my room that could have been delivered by a social enterprise or B corporation. I wasn't even having to leave or go out anywhere else. This is just in my room. So I found my toilet paper that could have been who gives a crap. I found my wine that could have been 4 or 5 different Australian wines that could have been social enterprise. Oh, I dismayed when I found this one. So the Coca-Cola Amatul, bottled water that's in every single place that you go to. So I'm not just having a go at kind of the hotel here. This is every hotel you go to pretty much in this country or all around the world. I found my linen. So I know Vanguard, I'll give this back to you to take back to them. I'm not stealing it all. Vanguard Laundry Service in Toowoomba, fantastic social enterprise working with people who are struggling with mental health issues. But I know Vanguard would love to start a social enterprise or a social enterprise in Sydney. So I know with the scale of linen and laundry that's coming out of that hotel, that if you guys had a conversation with them, it's probably enough to bring them south and start a new laundry service social enterprise here in Sydney. There's nothing like the Gideon's Bible to say everyone belongs here, so that was more around belonging. Anyway. I found this, hooray! Said 1 minute shorter shower today will save 9 litres, but that was the only thing that I could find anywhere that had anything environmental in it. I wasn't encouraged to kind of reuse my towels or my linen. Oh, and then I went for breakfast. I moved out of my room. And this, like I said, this is every single hotel. This is not just the hotel that you have here, but it's every hotel. I could get my individually packaged Cocoa Pops. I could get my individually my single-serve aluminium coated coffee. I could get my tiny little shower gel. So that could be, this could be street. This could be thank you. All of these things, we have social enterprises here in Australia and probably a number in Sydney that can help you. Some of those things I know have those slavery fingerprints on them. This one here was in my in the little pull-out cabinet, so it's the hot chocolate from Nestle. They're a $90 billion revenue company. Their ethical rating globally, I know, is 0.5 out of 20. So you've got to be doing a whole heap of things wrong to not even get 1 out of 20. A lot of their chocolate is created in the Ivory Coast and is slavery chocolate. So you start to think about, what can you do? You don't have to go out there into the world and start your own social enterprises to start to change it. You just can start right on your doorstep. And I kept on thinking, hey, you've got these projects that you do every year. You've got these things. Imagine if you decided to create the Executive Hotel as the greenest, most social hotel in Australia. Within 1 year, I could guarantee you would be able to do it. I read online last night that MGSM and Macquarie Uni has just spent $1 billion on campus and building infrastructure stuff. So it's not that the money's not here. Now, often when you're starting a social enterprise, you're trying to work out, where am I going to get my money? Even if you said, hey, I reckon we could put 100 solar cells on the roof of that hotel, and can we just keep the savings from the electricity and we'll make that our new little pot of money. So we'll fund our things through the savings of the things that we're going to do. There are so many things. My guess would be that not only could you start using a phenomenal number of social enterprises just in each of those bedrooms and each of those rooms, but you're going to find a heap of things that you couldn't find through social enterprises, and that there's businesses there waiting for you to start them. You don't need individually wrapped toothpicks. Pretty sure you can find some other alternatives. But my sense is, just with what I've seen here, there are waste enterprises waiting to be made on this campus. When I went through the bins, I found so much stuff that not only could be diverted, but could be made into new stuff that has value. So the challenge that I want to put out to not only the students, but also those of you who are staff, is do what I found on your website. I said, for nearly 50 years, MGSM has helped equip thousands of graduates with the critical skills to lead and succeed in our globally connected economy. We're bold. We have a strong tradition of innovation and exploration, and we will continue to break new ground. That's what you've told us. Go and do it. The fun that you'll have in discovering it, the fun that you'll discover in your bins. I know it'll be so much fun. I was like, last night I had so much fun in your bins. There is so much innovation that's sitting there in front of you. You don't have to go anywhere. And my challenge would be to you, what would it take for you as students while you're here to not be thinking about, I can't wait till I get out there and I start my own social enterprise and I'm going to go and do those things. What would you need to do here to say, I'm never going to leave this university because the things that we are doing here mean I'm not going. This is the epicenter of what is happening in social innovation in Australia, and we're the ones running it. Ask a university, can you take over that hotel and can you turn it into a social enterprise? Not only could you absolutely revolutionise and build a pocket of excellence right here in front of you, but you could practice the skills of why it's hard to run these things, the challenges and the trade-offs. There are so many opportunities right here. So what I was here maybe 3 years ago, talking to a far, far smaller group. I'm so looking forward to coming back. I'll come back in 3 years' time, and it would give me so much joy to go through your bins again in 3 years' time, and I hope what I'm surrounded by is a whole bunch of social entrepreneurs who never wanted to leave the uni because the stuff that was happening here was just spine-tingling. Do it. Start. Start today. Start tomorrow. Don't even wait till tomorrow. Start today. But start first by doing your slavery footprint and finding out in your house, on your body, in my bedroom, in my cupboards of my kitchen and my laundry and my bathroom, where are all the invisible fingerprints? And determine today that you're going to reduce them, that those fingerprints are not going to be on you and around you. Thank you.